stormy seas. Hurricanes charge ashore, tearing at the lives of people caught in the way. A cyclone rips the cabin off a lone sailor's boat in a desolate stretch of ocean. High winds shatter a window, penetrating a man's lungs. And a super typhoon forces a Guam family to flee from their disintegrating house. A desperate rescue over surging floodwaters in Puerto Rico. And a hurricane's downpour loosens a Mexican hillside, sweeping away everything in its path. Powerful ocean storms and the people who survive them. Coming up on Storm Warning.
Many people are living in
NATO watch reported. 15 people dead in the Tennessee Valley.
5 miles an hour.
All units, we have an emergency.
Next, Super Typhoon Paka rips across Guam, tearing the roof right off a family's home. Next, on Storm Warning. It's a warm, sunny New Year's Eve on the Pacific island of Guam. Pastor Dave Owen, his wife Joyce, and their family are celebrating Christmas a week late. But even the kids, Matthew, Michael, and Melissa, don't mind the wait. This Christmas is more special than usual. Just 2 weeks ago, the Owens experienced their first typhoon. It was a storm that nearly cost them their lives. It all begins mid-December, hundreds of miles out in the Pacific. There's warm ocean water that's hovering at a temperature of about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. As it evaporates, it releases warmth and energy that feeds a series of thunderstorms. Add the rotation of the Earth, and those thunderstorms escalate into a swirling typhoon called Paka. Dave Owen watches her progress over the internet and boards up his windows just in case Paka hits.
Can you give me the latest typhoon fix, please?
At the weather office, John Miller is worried.
We average just about one tropical cyclone per year in the vicinity of Guam or right over Guam. And that is by far the highest frequency of any territory or state. We call this Typhoon Alley.
Outside the Owens' home on the northern tip of Guam, rain begins falling. The wind begins blowing. As skies darken, the people of Guam brace for the worst. The local TV stations move to protect their satellite dishes and go off the air.
The rain got pretty intense and they did shut down those satellites. I remember thinking, it doesn't seem that bad. Why are they shutting off the football game?
But it is getting bad. By midday, the winds are already topping 100 miles an hour. And the worst of Typhoon Paka is still several hours away. As the day wears on, Dave's feelings about the storm are changing.
And I began to get a little bit worried because this was not like anything I had ever seen before.
We were watching out the window and the trees were starting to bend very low to the ground and the rain was coming under our door. I was telling the guys, I think it's not going to be safe in here.
Joyce gets the kids to help move furniture away from the windows and doors and push it up against the inside walls. Paka knocks out power all over Guam. At the weather office, John Miller is trapped in the dark, unable to warn the island. At the Owens home, Dave is growing more and more concerned.
I was very worried about my family at that point because the wind had picked up to the point where there was no perfectly safe way to deal with it.
By now, Paka's winds are gusting well over 175 miles an hour.
the noises got louder, and we actually began to see the corners of the roof start to lift. I heard this crack, this loud cracking sound.
Outside, others watch in horror as the roof is ripped off.
And I looked up, and where the roof had been just a few seconds before, I was looking straight up into the clouds. And I turned around to see how Joyce was. And all I saw was a big pile of boards with our ceiling fan sitting right on top of all this debris, right where she should have been.
Joyce is huddling with her dog Shadow in the bedroom, where she thinks she'll be safe.
I said it's too dangerous to leave, but it's too dangerous to stay, too. But I was feeling very afraid that if we left the house and we walked outside, we'd get hit with flying debris.
Fearing his house is about to disintegrate in the face of Paka's fury, Dave decides the family has to get out. Their only hope is to try to make it to his concrete church next door. On his way out, he stumbles over the wreckage, and a falling board hits him in the head. Despite the blow, Dave gets his kids safely in the car, but Joyce isn't there. She's still inside the collapsing house. The Owens' eldest son, Matt, races back inside to find his mother frozen with fear in the back room. He coaxes her until she's able to follow him to the car. Driving through blinding rain and blowing debris, the Owens reach the safety of the church. From a basement window, they watch the storm most of the night. All around the island, Paka continues to rage. Tearing down buildings and trees. Even concrete telephone poles designed to survive Guam's notorious winds succumb to its force. Paka is a Category 4 typhoon on a scale of 1 to 5. The winds inside her eye wall exceed 150 miles per hour, the point at which a typhoon becomes a super typhoon. It's a storm that expends enough energy in one day to provide the United States with power for a week. While the winds in super typhoons can become too strong to measure, their damage is not. Experts say a Category 5 typhoon can easily cause more than 100 times the damage of a Category 2. Typhoon winds frequently cause more damage than the winds of other storms, even if they clock the same speed. It's because of the rotation. The front side of the vortex assaults the Earth's surface from one direction. Then, the backside of the swirl, turning the other way, hits already weakened vegetation and structures. Typhoon Paka visited that kind of fury on Guam for 6 straight hours. Super Typhoon Paka continues on north, but she can draw no energy from the cooler ocean temperatures there, and she fizzles out. In the next morning's calm, the Owens make a video record of what's left of their home.
And there's our house with no roof. Here's our kitchen. Here's the roof on our kitchen, not. It's a couple of the cabinets are still intact.
I like what you've done with the house.
The Owens begin to rebuild. Super Typhoon Paka has retreated, leaving the ocean that spawned her as calm and serene as before. But Paka's fury and violence is something the Owens will never forget.
I will never, ever again underestimate the power that God can unleash in a typhoon.
Next, rain from Hurricane Hortense causes flash flooding in Puerto Rico. One family's desperate bid for survival. Coming up on Storm Warning.